It's a lot. I was like, I'm not gonna be. Oh, Clay Fighter. Oh
God. Watch the hair, man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Awesome Talk Quarantine Edition number 26 on March 19th, 2021, my birthday. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Tonight, it's us. It's just us and all of you out there tonight. That's all. That's what it is. So that's how we're getting started. How is everybody tonight?
Good. How you doing, man? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's my second. I don't want to spend the whole show harping on it, but I was commenting earlier that this is my second birthday in a row in the same lockdown. And that is feeling weirdly dystopian at this point.
Yeah.
And what's super weird is and again, I've said it before, is going back a year ago and listening to the show, the first one that we did like this, and comparing it to now is just so utterly fucking fucked up. Thank you very much. Thank you. My mom's in the chat. Robert M. Kelly is in the chat. Laura is in the chat. Justin Lynch is in the chat. Pat is in the chat. Hello. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. But so yeah, it's just strange. I don't think I could have believed a year ago that. I didn't believe it a year ago that when she used to tell me we could be in here for a year or longer, I didn't think that I couldn't wrap my head around that possibility. And now if you told me we had another year to go.
And then I like started sawing his feet off.
Now if you told me we had another year in here, I'd find it completely much easier to believe. And easier to digest. I'd be like, oh, only a year? That doesn't seem like as big a deal as it used to. You know?
I don't know, man.
Desensitizing you, man. Slowly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're making you. They're gearing you up for the camps.
Is this the deep state doing this, or is this the deep state? Are they're getting me ready for what? To just make me stay at home all the time?
I'm hoping they're getting ready to just lay down and die, because that sounds all right by me, man.
Who, me? Me or the deep state? Oh, the deep state. I keep waiting for Q to pull the trigger and tell them all to kill themselves. Like, it's just, I know I shouldn't make jokes about it, but like at the same time, like.
Did you guys watch the South Park vaccination special?
Yes.
Dude, the part, like, that, like, meta moment of, like, the gun getting, like, shot, or the fucking shit getting shot out of his hand, and, like, there's, like, no sign of who did it, and Rick is like, who shot that? And I was like, oh my god, I think it was Trey and Matt.
Yeah, that's some deep state shit right there. But I also want to say I felt like South Park also nailed it again, as they usually do.
Yeah, they did a really good job, especially with the kids. With the when the little cuties came out.
Oh yeah!
Oh my god! Yeah. Hilarious.
The community and the community kids with a K.
Yeah.
With the community kids.
Oh, but yeah, it's been a year. It feels weird. I don't know. It almost feels like I feel like a year has passed, but like a month has passed at the same time. Like time is like, I'm like, I have no grasp of it anymore.
Time is really squishy right now. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, time is mushy. Like, I don't feel like, oh, an hour went by. I'm like, oh, an hour or a month went by. And I'm not really sure. It feels the same. It feels completely the same to me.
On a brighter side, I'm 2 shots I'm personally 2 shots in, so I got like 2 weeks or a week and a half, and then I don't give a fuck.
Well, I hope it's better for you, Stones. Oh, thanks, Matt. Matt's in the chat. What's up? Stones doesn't have a camera. Yeah, just so people know, Stone. The reason why we don't see Stones, all you get is a Skype symbol. Think of the S as being for Stones.
I wish that he could at least draw like a stick figure of himself, so that way when he's talking, there isn't just a Skype logo on the screen.
I changed my I changed my profile icon. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's a tattoo that says Jesus fucking Christ, and it has a picture of Jesus fucking Jesus in the ass on it.
And you felt that was what best represented you.
Yeah. I have to agree with that.
My cousin said, "Oh my God, do the stick figure."
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because the user picture's not coming up anyway. It's just a fucking Skype advertisement.
Hi, Anna. Thank you. Hey, Rob. What's up? Thank you. Oh, those shots. Justin Lynch said, "Oh, those shots." I think he meant you were. He thought you meant you were doing shots, Stones, for my birthday.
I have like one of the most offensive Christian memes like ever. I don't even know if I should put it into the chat, but.
Oh, please do.
No.
Oh.
So another thing I wanted to talk about is all the Asian beatings going on around the country, and I don't know what to do with a country where
I don't understand how this wasn't the logical conclusion of everything that's happened in the past year. I mean, not logical as in it makes sense, like that this is happening. Just logical as like you have a guy with all these freaking cultist-like feelings about him screaming about the China virus. Right. At the same time calling it a hoax, which is bizarre, and then also simultaneously believing both things. What did people think was going to happen? Why wasn't it denounced way harder? Is it like, I feel like we always have to get burnt before we care instead of just being really, really close to the fire and knowing what comes next. It's so awful.
I think that was the next. I mean, I think it's just the answer to that is just like this was our previous president was clearly a white supremacist, and anything that is considered different, if it's not like within the American view of like a white Christian normal, let's say, person, then it's just an other, and that other, like Trump did a really good job of making people afraid of things that were different and making people afraid that like the American way of life was coming to an end. And so it's really, personally, I think it's like, it's really shitty that this is going on, and I condone it to like, in the most possible like way. I think it's horrible what's happening, but at the same time, I'm like, this is, I mean, it's just more of the same, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like,
go ahead.
It's just shitty because it's like this, it's the same type of like vitriol for other people, like for blacks, for Hispanics, Latinos, for the gays, for trans people, for everything that we've like seen this past summer. And it's just directed at another group of people that they've been experiencing this from the beginning, from the onset of this like pandemic. And since before then, like there's been a lot of anti-Asian sentiment in this country. I mean, it goes back, like it's in our history. And it's just shitty. But I think that what happened in Atlanta with the with the 8 women that were murdered, like the way that was talked about.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to say, somebody just said in the chat, my buddy Rob from the Rob and Slim Show said, fuck that guy and that piece of shit police chief who said he just had a bad day.
Yeah, that to me is just like legit. In my opinion, I'm like, when they say that, when they're saying, oh, just having a bad day, or just, even the fact that they were able to apprehend this guy and he's alive right now, to me is just legitimizing this underbelly of white supremacism that we have in this country, that people who are white are treated differently by the law than people who look like they're not white. Yeah. And even the fact that like these were women and that they were, the media was like, oh, well, he just had a sex addiction. And like, they're just like delegitimizing these women. Like they're not even fucking human beings. They're just like, they're sex workers. So fuck it. Who cares? Like, doesn't matter anyways. On to the next. Like he was just having a bad day. And it's just so frustrating to me that we can't call this for what it is, which is like, it was literally a domestic terrorist attack. Like you had somebody come in and I know that sounds like extreme, but me personally, I do believe it was a domestic terrorist attack. You had someone go in.
It was pointedly racist.
Absolutely.
There's still people saying this wasn't, I keep seeing people leave comments that says this wasn't really driven by race. I say it every show. I shouldn't be shocked by the shit that I read anymore, but I am still astonished by the things that I read that people say. You know what I mean? That people say that.
Yeah, it's something that is so like deeply embedded in our psyche as Americans that like, like this is a country that offers opportunities to everyone, and therefore it's not racist, and like this is the best place you could be if you're a person of color. To an extent, that's true, but to a larger degree, there's certain things that do exist that are systemic in the way that they discriminate against people of color, Asians, African Americans, Latinos. It's all there. And I think like part of it might be that people just don't want to accept and don't want to believe that like, maybe America's not the greatest place on earth if you're not a white, Protestant person, or you're not a white straight Protestant man in this country.
But you can't tell it. A lot of people won't accept that as reality. The main group, the white, regular ass white American men, that's part of the programming. Could you imagine how fast everything would stop functioning the way it does if people woke up and realized, wait a minute, we're not the best in education, we're not the best in healthcare, we're not the best in like literally and in science and innovation and technology. I could say any subject. And we're not only are we not the best in it, we're like far down the fucking ladder. If people really like felt that to be true, like we're not treated the way, we're not being seen when we need to see a doctor, like really felt how much other countries look at that as bizarre instead of that we're so free, things would change. Like we need to believe it's the best for this shit to keep oppressing. It's so perfectly done. Robert Emmett Kelly in the chat said, that this didn't start with Trump. Anti-Asian sentiment has been a part of America for over 100 years. I wasn't trying to say it started with Trump. I was trying to say that it seems clear. To me, it has been clear, but maybe it just became clear to some people after January that at least a portion of Trump supporters are teetering on violent tendencies. And so he has that group within his base, and he was just aiming the spotlight on Asian people and like feeding that type of person who's already like ready to pounce wherever he says to pounce, which is exactly what we saw. So like that's what I mean. I don't think it started with him. It's just he took a group of people that were so easy to mold and basically went, go in that direction. And now I feel like that's exactly what we're seeing the effects of. I don't think it was just him, but do I think there'd be less of these attacks that are happening and stuff if Trump hadn't done that? Hell yeah, I think that. I definitely think that. I think that you'd have to be fucking nuts to see someone of Asian descent and think they brought the coronavirus here. Like, that's such an insane leap. I don't know if this is just as racist as seeing an Asian person and just assuming that they weren't born here, but like, I don't remember the last time I saw an Asian person in public that I didn't know and think, oh, I wonder where they come from. I never think that. I just think they're another American person that's walking down the street. It doesn't occur to me as like, oh, they came from somewhere else. They just showed up on our doorstep yesterday with the coronavirus. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's such an isolationist way of thinking about things.
Yeah,
that's America.
Yeah, those are people who draw only straight lines. There's no spider web of reality to those people. They're just like, oh, okay, Asian coronavirus. That tracks. And that's the end of their thought. That's why they're so easy to manipulate. You were talking about how Trump, has like all these people with violent tendencies. And the truth is, he riled up a bunch of people who are a bunch of military LARPers and said, hey, you guys get to be military for real. I need you people. And there they are, ready to be violent. Whatever the fuck he says.
Something that really has like bothered me about this whole thing in Atlanta, I feel like it's something that like not a lot of people are addressing, but the fact that these were women who worked in like that type of industry, I personally feel like this would have been handled differently. And I'm not trying to condone, but I'm just trying to expose kind of like the grossity of like the media and how we treat anyone who's, a woman or who works in like the sex worker industry. But like, because that they worked in these massage parlors, I feel like that was another reason for why the police chief or whatever was like, oh, he was just having a bad day. I feel like people who like work in that industry have such it's almost like they're not even human. And we see this all the time with like women who work in the sex industry. They're they're almost treated like they don't even exist. Like it's not even a big fucking.
Yeah,
they do the same thing whenever.
There are actually people who truly believe you can't rape a prostitute. Like that's an actual belief that people have. Just like the people that used to believe you can't rape your wife. If she's your wife, it's not rape.
Yeah.
Well, that's just one more example of how far we are behind of every other country. Yeah. Because in other countries, they have benefits for prostitutes and shit. In some countries, they got medical and all that shit.
I was going to say they treat drug addicts similarly too. Like if somebody ODs and dies, people are just like, oh, that just another overdose. Yeah. And in countries where they don't stigmatize drug users like that, they have less problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody's making money off of all this shit, so there you go.
Mm-hmm. That's what it boils down to.
They want to keep it this way for a reason.
I want to read through the chat for a second. Mike Pepe said it was 100% a racial hate crime. Laura McQueen said the perfect storm of racism and misogyny. Let's see. And then Justin Lynch responded to Robert M. McKelly and said, sad but true, when I lived in Nevada, the racism was really prevalent. Mike Pepe said, we are the best at mediocrity. That's fucking, I'm not even sure if we're mediocre anymore.
Yeah.
Chinese exclusion did not end until 1943. Alexis said Trump made it acceptable. Blake Gerald, what's up? Said impeach Cuomo. I I don't know if you can impeach governors. Can you? Is that a thing that happens? I have no idea. I don't know how that works. But I imagine something like that is on the way, if it isn't already.
I'm not even sure if we're number one in military anymore. Did you see any of these drone displays? These like world records?
Dude, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that we are way number one in military.
No, I mean just like in like drone tech and shit, China's about to have some crazy shit. They got thousands of shit working together all at once.
I've seen it. It's incredible. It's incredible. But I think we probably have shit that's worse.
Oh, I mean, of course we got some crazy shit.
We pump money into military technology on a scale that no one can even possibly compete with. That's why we don't have any money.
Do you think we're actually keeping up with that, or we're just dumping money into like an empty thing now?
Both. I think that some of that money gets laundered to people who want it, and I think a lot of it gets put into endless war research.
See, I think we're a few years ahead just with the surplus, but I think with the technology developments, we're kind of falling behind.
I think that it looks that way, but I don't think it's really that way.
I think it feels that way. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Our
feels like
they have their shit together anymore.
Here's China spends something like $90 billion a year on military, something like that, and the United States. They're number 2 in the world.
But if you do it efficiently, wouldn't that kind of match it?
Okay, so hold on. So let's say they do it efficiently, right? Okay, they spend roughly $90 billion a year, last I checked, on their military. They're number 2 in spending. We're number 1. We spend $700 billion a year.
Yeah.
So even if we weren't
efficient, do you think that spending is?
Like the spending is.
So it's not efficient at all. It's actually exactly the way our healthcare system is. You have like 2 weapons companies that are like, oh, it's $10 billion for this one spare part of something. And you guys have to buy 6 million of them for no reason. Like, it's the same way our healthcare system works, essentially. Like, Americans here, like, oh, this costs this much money, and that's, like, reasonable, but they don't think of that we're the only country where medical things cost that much. Like a freaking hospitalization here is thousands, but like in every other country that's that's like if my friend said, oh, I bought a Toyota for $2 million, isn't that a good deal? That's what we sound like to other countries when we talk about things related to healthcare. And our freaking defense budget is made up of a lot of the same kind of shit, just price gouging because they can get away with it. Weapons companies do it, and so do fucking medical companies. They're exactly the same type of people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like now, if you consider that, and you take another country who's whatever, communist or whatever, they're tight about their shit. They're not wasting money a lot. Maybe it could match it. It's only, what would you say, 90? That's not even 10 times. You don't think we inflate shit more than 10 times?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're doing. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like if China is working on unified drones, the United States is working on how to like just blast a heat ray that melts 500 drones at a time. Like I feel like we're always thinking on how much shit can we destroy in one blast type of thinking. Like if we have to blow off that quarter of the planet, we will.
Yeah, but what if they just spread them out? Like really.
Look, there's nothing scarier in the
world. There's one. You know, like
there's nothing scarier in war than highly coordinated small drones.
It's like trying to like swat a swarm of gnats. You're gonna get a bunch of them, but there's still gonna be a shitload that's gonna get you.
And even on one that size, you could arm the holy shit out of it.
Exactly, and you don't care because they're gonna blow up anyway. They're probably like kamikaze type shit.
Yeah, man, and they cost nothing to make.
Exactly. So you could just blanket a whole region with these fucking things.
Yeah. Everybody thinks it's just a fog coming in. It's really like 10 million tiny drones coming to slice holes through.
They think it's flocks of birds flying and shit.
Right. Now that's one conspiracy theory I could get behind. Is I think they're building shit that flies that looks like natural shit that flies, but really it's listening to you. It could kill you.
Yeah, that's probably exactly how they'll do it. V formations and shit.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's the eye in the sky. They form an actual blinking eyeball in the sky. It's just a bunch of high-powered drones with super-powered little migrophones on them.
Well, I mean, if China makes moves on Taiwan, we'll probably get to see it in action.
Yeah. God, I hope not. War is
yeah.
War is getting really terrifying now.
Yeah.
It's
we're on the brink of something. It's boiling up.
Let me look at the chat for just a second here. Blake Gerald says that he thinks Cuomo has an eighth. Cuomo's done. Cuomo's done. I know he's sort of like Walking Dead right now, but Cuomo is done. And here's I'm gonna tell you the total truth about what breaks my heart about the whole thing with Cuomo. I thought, and I wasn't entirely right, I thought Cuomo handled the pandemic the way the president should have in the first months. He was tough. He was yelling and screaming. He seemed to be genuinely riled up on behalf of the people. Turns out he was doing some other shady shit on the flip side there.
Of course he was. There are no heroes in politics.
No heroes in politics, Stones. You're exactly right. And that's a bummer.
Douchebag. Why is anybody surprised?
It's a bummer. But the eight fucking people, you're done, bro. He's saying I won't resign. It would be better if you resign now. You need to resign. Enough's enough. Because here's the problem, dude. First off, you can't stay in that position anymore. No matter what happens, you look bad. The party looks bad. Nobody can put their faith in you, and we're all fucking weary of you now. You need to move on. Like, you did your job. I'm happy that you did some of what you did for the pandemic, but that has nothing to do with this. He's got to go. I agree with you on that. Robert M. Kelly said the days of cost plus contracts are over. Mike Pepe said right now 9mm rounds cost almost $1 a piece because there's a man-made ammunition shortage in this country. Robert M. Kelly said we are busy modernizing our nuclear arsenal, and that's what I think too. And we have more aircraft carriers to launch such drones. That's the other thing too. He's right about that. 1 pound of C4.
China's building a ton of aircraft carriers. That's like they're supposed to catch up.
Yeah, he said that too, I think.
Yeah, it's like not too far out. They're supposed to catch up to us with the aircraft carrier construction.
That's so weird because, like, I remember being in college and they were like, give it 10 years. China's going to overtake us in military. And I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. Fuck yeah. And now I'm like, yeah, that makes sense now. They're just waiting.
It says you can't have that many people. I'm waiting for India to get money and take this shit over too. Like, and then watch India and China go at each other.
We're going to have to help India.
Yeah.
Problems at the border with China.
Right.
They have a lot of problems with the border. India and Pakistan too have a lot of problems.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm like, I'm not controversial yet brave opinion. I'm not even mad at it. I'm like, all right, we had our time in the sun. It's done. It's over. Cool.
Yeah.
Let someone else be in the spotlight for a little bit.
It's like, these fucking assholes that are like, we won't be the minority. And it's like, why? Like, are they like, what? First of all, what's different for you personally? And secondly, it sounds like minorities don't get treated great. Like, why don't you want to be one?
It blows my mind that people say, like, the majority, that they think that, like, you are the minority. Like, there are more Asians and people of Asian descent, like, in the planet combined than there are of you, of, like, Eurocentric people. Like, you're already the minority, so why are you mad? Is it because you don't want to be? Yeah, people. That's
the same with people that, I'm talking specifically in America. And the same with people that hear someone speaking Spanish and they're like, speak English. And it's like, dude, how fucking, like, you do realize, you do have any idea how many people in this country speak Spanish? Like,
yeah,
and the people that are pushing for us to actually say that we have a national language, like an official language, is so fucked up. What is the point of that other than exclusion? Like, what other, is it like you want a big trophy all in English? Like, what the fuck is the point of it? Like, I remember
it's because they're salty, they only know one language.
It's ridiculous.
And barely.
It's amazing how people that can speak more than one language are somehow being framed as like the fucking, like, these like awful people that are just real. You got to stay away from them. It's like, you fucking learn more than one language, asshole. Like,
that is a uniquely American thing, I have to say, because if you go anywhere else in the world, you are learning multiple languages as a child. Like, it's not that little bullshit Spanish high school class that we teach here, or like the bullshit French classes that we teach here. They are really into, like, you speak French, you speak Spanish, you speak English, you speak whatever language. It's a big deal over. It's only America where that's like a big fucking deal. It makes no sense, because anytime someone's like, "Oh, you shouldn't speak Spanish," I'm like, "Motherfucker, people were speaking Spanish here before there were English speakers here. So shut the fuck up. You don't even know what you're talking about."
Speak American,
I hope you said it to them in Spanish.
Oh, I wish, but it's hard out here. But it's just like it. You know, it's just so. English is extremely difficult to learn anyways. It's an ugly sounding language, I have to say.
It's wild ass language, because we're one of the few where we can bend words every day, make up new slang every day, take words and melt them together. Like, it's the putty of language.
Like, there's like patterns to a lot, like, there's like clumps of languages that sort of, like, if you know this language, then this language will be easier to learn. Like, if you know Italian, learning Spanish is not going to be as hard for you as it would be if you only spoke Russian and you were learning Spanish. Like Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, they're all really similar in a lot of ways. Like, you know where the adjective is, you know where but English just came up and they're like, let's just throw them all over the place, guys, and then yell at people because they have broken English. Like, it's almost like we did it on purpose just to fuck with people that don't speak English fluently.
But there is something,
like, there's no pattern. There's just a bunch of stupid shit.
But there is something amazing about English in that you can whittle things to mean exactly what the fuck you need them to mean in a way that you can't do in a lot of other languages. Even some of the ugly shit that we consider stupid, like, it really does have, like, hangry fucking means something. Like, if you say I'm hangry, I'm like, oh shit, I can't think of another way. Well, the only other way I could say it is, I'm so hungry, I'm mad. But if you say hangry, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't fucking, that's not as easy to melt that fucking word out of nowhere in another language. And that's what I like about English, though. That's what I like, even though it is a fucked up language.
It's super choppy.
And nothing makes any sense either. You drive in a parkway, you park in a driveway, and like all this other weird shit that just doesn't make it just doesn't make sense.
No.
Like, when we were trying to teach it to somebody, sometimes people will ask you something and they'll go, why is this like this? And the only professional answer there is that's just the way it is. That's just what happened.
Some dudes in a room decided it.
Yeah, it just be that way sometimes. That's it.
It is what it is. Yeah, I don't understand that whole, like, I don't understand the whole make English the national language, though.
No.
It, to me, makes absolutely no sense. And there's just, like, people who say that, I'm like, there's just say you don't like brown people. All right, just come out and say it. Yeah. Okay? You get it. You're uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's American. Yeah. I want to read the chat. for just a second here because it's like it's going crazy right now. Oh my God. Right now, okay. We were busy. Okay, so I read that. Robert Emmett Kelly said we could put 1 pound of C4 into each little tiny drone. We need like 500 millennial nerds, and we got those Chineses in the bag. Okay, that's Mike Pepe. Hope is Hope, not a Republican governor fills his shoes. She's talking about New York and Cuomo. You know, Cuomo is going to come up, man. It's going to come up again. Like Cuomo is a disappointing topic. But again, like Stone said, not so disappointing. It's unbelievable. Robert Emmett Kelly says we have 11 nuclear aircraft carriers, and China has 2 conventional carriers. India and Pakistan have been fighting at the border forever. Mike Pepe said, Robert Kelly, we have more deck space in those carriers than all other nations in the world. Let's see. There are 43 carriers in the world today. In India, you have to learn English, Pat said. Robert M. McKelly said, we have no official language. Which, again, I don't even see what the you know what bothers me about that is, like, anytime I've ever heard anyone get angry and, like, say we need to have an official language, it always seems to be coming from some racist asshole. And, like, and I see it. You know, it's never anybody who just goes, hey, you know what? Logically speaking, this many people speak this many. Would it be a bad thing if we picked a language and called it official? And you can't be like, nah, we can't really do that here. And they'd be like, you know what? I understand. Like, nobody has that calm. No, there is no calm conversation. It's always somebody going, oh, why can't you just speak English? Like, it's always just, you can hear the stank, like the white stank. And, like, it just, that's the only time I've ever heard it brought up. And, like, I never hear it brought up in just casual, nice, kind conversation. Let's see. English has taken over the world. It is the language of science. What do you think of that, Sarah? Robert McKelly said that.
It's the language of business.
My nerdy answer was gonna be math is the language of science, but yeah, I thought that was a little over the top.
Math and music, definitely, Sarah. And then it's French
and math rock especially.
Oh, math rock is the worst. English, French, and is it Spanish are the 3 business languages in the world in that order? I think. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If I remember correctly.
The what?
English is the number 1 language spoken for business, followed by French, followed by, I believe, Spanish.
I'm not surprised English is the business one.
I didn't know that. I thought that Mandarin was like one of the most spoken languages in the world.
Mandarin's number 2. And then
in business?
I don't know about business, but I know it's most spoken in the
world. For business relations and business deals, the 3 top languages go English, French. I know English and French are the 2 top ones, and then I think the 3rd one is Spanish. After that, that's for business dealings. That's why a lot of the Asian companies want English people in their business or deals to speak English or French or whatever, you know, amongst each other.
So I don't
French
think
is weird.
Their business or deals. It just all sounds so shady.
I'm like that. The French kind of seems so strange to me because French isn't really.
Yeah. It's not French. It's the French language.
Oh,
is within, you know,
French
business.
Canadians. That's so strange. French is like, I mean, I know French is spoken a lot in like the Middle East and North Africa, and actually Africa as a whole, most of the Caribbean. And Canada. Maybe that makes sense, I guess. It is spoken in a lot of places. I don't know. I
love how as you were saying it, you thought of a new place, and then like the list started getting bigger and bigger and bigger as you went on.
Like they only speak French in France and Africa and Canada and America.
Hey, I was there for a little bit. It was
where were you?
I lived in France for like a couple of months.
Cool. Why? Were you there to study or?
Yeah, I was there to study French and then also political science. I was like I went to the little Parliament building, and it was a very eye-opening experience for me.
What year? What year did you go?
My junior year of college, I went. So I spent like one entire semester there, and then I spent like a couple months after. I just kind of like hung out and was like, I like it here. I'm gonna stay.
So around what year was that you went?
2013, 2012, 2013, around then.
How did France to you? Because I've never been there before. I've been to Ireland and I loved it there.
I love it.
I want to know, from your perspective, what was the biggest difference between France and the United States, socially speaking?
Oh, well, at the time that I went there, they had just legalized same-sex marriage.
Oh.
And it was a pretty violent time.
Huh.
Because the Catholics were not happy about it.
Dude, when you paused for a minute, you were picking which word you were going to say for that second there. I didn't know what was going to come out. I didn't know if you were going to say it was a joyous time, and then you said a violent time, and that just went dark very fast for me.
Yeah,
I was like, that sounds bad.
A lot of people, I'll say this, a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about Europe in general, and they think that Europe is this, I guess, like promised land. And in comparison, there's a lot of things that Europe does that's better than what we do in America.
Yeah.
But they have just as many problems as we have in terms of race, in terms of misogyny, in terms of, I wouldn't really necessarily say religious extremism. Like it's different, but kind of the same. Like there's not many Protestants in France. There's a lot of them here.
Yeah.
Over there's more Catholics. And so when I went, it was, there were a lot of protests. And when the French protest, they fucking protest. It's not like these protests you see here. They kind of go a little crazy.
Right. I feel like we've gotten better at it in the last year, where we really protests really get crazy now. It used to be like, dude, why can't you just throw up the peace sign? And we're like, yeah, that's not working. It doesn't get anything done, dude.
I remember the Occupy Wall Street movement, and then like going to France, I was like, these people are going fucking hard over gay marriage. So, but
so people protesting for and against, or like was it
against?
Oh, it was all against. Okay, I misunderstood then. I thought it was like sort of a warring protest. Okay. Oh, that's terrible, dude.
Yeah.
I thought France was the free, sexual open-mindedness in France. Like that's.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that was my experience for the entire country. Like there were a lot of people I met that were super chill, super open-minded, didn't give a fuck. They're like, it's whatever. But yeah, a lot of racism present against a lot of Islamophobia, a ton of Islamophobia. Something that I like look back at now and I'm like, I've never seen that like to that extent in the US that I have seen there. And a lot of misogyny. I always say like I've traveled, I've had the tremendous privilege of being able to travel all over the world. And the one place that I felt super unsafe as a woman, as a lady, was in France. Cause it was just, it was not fun.
Wow. I feel like really shocked by what you're telling me. I thought France would have been, I don't know, more progressive, even in 2013, which I guess isn't that long ago. But I would have assumed that was a more progressive place to be.
Isn't France like some kind of like human trafficking hub or something?
Yes.
Jeez, man, this is getting worse by the minute.
But that's the thing about like Europe. Like people in the U.S., particularly like a lot of people who are liberal or who lean liberal, I guess I should say, think that Europe is like this perfect utopia and everything is great.
Well, and grass is always greener,
yeah, that's true. And then you go over there and you're like, oh, there's some real shit going on over here, especially with England. In London, there's a lot of racism which I guess like it's kind of undercover. Like, I don't know if you guys like watched that whole Prince Harry, Meghan Markle interview that blew up. And a lot of it's like,
I was more shocked by it than I thought I was going to be, and I was more invested in it than I thought I was going to be too. Because we did an episode of our other show like years ago when that shit started, and we were like, man, fuck the royal family. Who gives a shit about these rich assholes? Like, I don't care what's happening to them. And like, and that's where like my consciousness shut it off. I was like, I don't care about the royal family. I don't care. But then like when I watched the interview, and I go, okay, so you have these two people who for whatever reason, fair or not, they have a lot of pull in the world, right? For whatever reason, other people get hope from them. And I see her out there visiting sick people, and I see Princess Diana doing that, and I go, oh, well, and these are the people that you guys cast out. Like that changes the narrative to me a lot. Like it changes it changes the parts of the story I give a shit about a lot. Because if you're telling me that you're the type of person who's going to put yourself out there and use your fame and use your influence to do good for people, well, that's okay. That's fine. I still think you're overprivileged and have too much power and money. But if you're using it in that way and you're trying to bring about positive change with it, good. And then I find out that there's a faction of people that are in your circle who are opposed to that, and they're trying to destroy your life because that's who you are. All of a sudden, I see good guys and bad guys, where, as before, all I saw was all the same players. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. It makes sense, but I think like you're seeing it as like a real thing. But aren't they like forced to do all sorts of charity work and stuff like that?
Okay, so that's a great point.
Yes and no. So for her, she was always doing charity. I mean, she wasn't born into the royal family. She was just a civilian. And as a civilian, she did all her own charity work long before she ever met him. So it wasn't forced on her. If anything, she had a bunch of shit she didn't want to do forced on her.
Like the royal family, though. I mean, she's just married into it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying as a background, like she clearly wasn't forced into doing charity because she already was. And as far as he's concerned, it's his, as part of the royal family, part of the job is to do certain things, but all of those charities he's continuing now. So I guess you could say it's for looks, or you could say that it's because he actually cares. I don't know. He started something in regards to like mental health recently. So I guess it just depends on how much you believe it. But on the other hand, it's like if someone is helped because of that charity, does that person care if the other person did it because they really cared or because they were just trying to get points? Like, well, if they were helped either way, I don't know if it matters all the time. But in this case, they do seem pretty genuine about the charities that they talk about and the charities they care about. The thing that I find really interesting is that he kept, in that interview, he said so many times, I started to see history repeating itself, and I know where that leads. And, he even clarified, he's like, and when I say history repeating itself, I'm talking about my mother. Like, he flat out makes sure, that's exactly what he meant. And it's interesting because in the interview, the only thing that you think of in relation to his mother, as far as what's presented in the interview, is stuff about how she seemed sort of outcast and, that the media sort of had it out for her in a way where she was being hounded nonstop. And you think that's the comparisons, but there's other stuff that's not talked about in the interview that I find creepily similar. Princess Diana went to the Queen at one point and said that she had developed an eating disorder because of how dysfunctional her marriage had gotten. And then you have Meghan saying, I went to the people in charge and said, I have something wrong with me mentally and I need a help or a therapist. And like both of them getting the same sort of disinterested responses. I'm just like, I think that's probably more what he means when he says, I see history repeating itself. Nobody gives a shit about any of us. Like, and it's, I thought that should have been brought up by Oprah or someone, because I feel like that was a more in-depth look of exactly how much of history was repeating itself. I feel like leaving those details out, like, paints a really incomplete picture of how it's almost like his mother all over again in a lot of bizarre ways. Like, even he was like, I'm not the type of person to be like, ooh, like magic. But he's like, when you look at the similarities over and over and over, it's like eerie not to see that there's some sort of connection or like that this was the way things were supposed to be. But like, it is creepily similar. Like that, like if someone had removed Diana from that situation, it probably would have been different. And he's like doing what he couldn't have done for his mom, is the way it looked like to me. And, you know, but the people that seemed shocked, it's like, dude, like you're talking about like the number one colonizers on planet Earth of all time and space. Like, you guys are surprised about racism? Like, there's people that are like when there's members of the royal family that outright wear racist jewelry on their necks, giant pendants that everyone in the room can see all the time. Like, so like that part of it, I'm like,
didn't the prince himself wear like a Hitler outfit or some shit one time?
Yeah, way back in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
I remember that. He wore a Nazi costume for a Halloween party. Yeah, I think.
And like this whole, you know, the comments that were made, I you know, obviously it's racism, but of course that they're going to, of course people in positions like that are going to dig at each other every chance they get, regardless of how distasteful it is. Like, no shit that was going to fucking happen, because you're dealing with fucking assholes who are all trying to compete with each other and tear each other apart. No shit. Fuck them.
Just read the chat for a minute here. Let's see. Mike Pepe said, you know, no one in Japan is using hangry. Let's see. Madison is in the chat. What's up? Thank you. Thank you for the happy birthday. Robert M. Kelly said, learning English was once a rite of passage for immigrants. I cannot tell you how many of my child and immigrant friends, had parents that discouraged their kids speaking their native language until they learned English. It was weird. French used to be the language of diplomacy, and it still hangs on there. French was once a lingua franca. Let's see. Very true about France. Beautiful was there in Paris in 1992, Madison said. Mike Pepe said, if it weren't for the U.S., they'd be speaking... I know what you're talking about. Mike Pepe said America. Let's see. Melissa's watching. What's up, Melissa? How's it going? It is ludicrous to consider America without considering its European roots. Right, man. And we're like the last part of the roots. We're like, America's like a big, spoiled, shit-ass, sick teenager right now. It's really gross. Let's see. Madison said, love what you said about the Royals, Rick. I watched it, the Oprah interview, thought I wouldn't care, but found myself intrigued. And that's how I felt about it, man. And even when it came to Princess Diana, I really didn't, like, I didn't dislike her. I just didn't know enough to really give a shit. But then I find out that, like, she does all this shit that, like, she definitely doesn't have to do. And, like, on a level you cannot possibly believe. And then she dies. And not only that, predicted her own death almost word for word what was going to happen to her about 30 days before it happened. Like, it's just really fucking crazy, dude.
I mean, is it crazy, or do you think it's just protocol in the royal family to do shit like that?
And that's another big that's another issue.
Why is it really that coincidental, or are they just doing the same fucking protocol over and over again?
Right. Wasn't she divorced though at that point?
They were.
I know there was like a.
So he was definitely sleeping with somebody else openly at that point, but I don't think they were officially divorced.
They were divorced.
Oh, they were divorced. Okay.
Yeah. But so wouldn't she no longer be part? I mean, I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Well, her sons were the princes.
Yeah.
So she's going to be locked into that family whether they like it or not at that point. And I think that, you know, like, I don't know if I'm wrong for saying this, but I feel like she just looked better than they did and they didn't like it. Like sometimes I think it's as petty as that. Because
I mean, I think the big thing was in the... I don't remember. I think it was in the 80s. There was a kind of a scandal when she went to visit an AIDS ward. Yeah. And she like gave a hug or
she touched AIDS patients. Yeah, that was a big deal.
That was a huge no-no. That's I mean, I can't imagine the like I know it sounds kind of like crazy, but I can't imagine the courage of someone who's even attached to that family to legitimize a human being who has AIDS at that time.
At that time, yeah.
So dehumanized.
Right.
And
yeah, she did. It was a big deal because she touched the bandages of someone with leprosy, and that like shook the world. And it's like kind of sad that amount of empathy is so rare that it's earth shattering. But like violent, racist psychopaths are so common that it's like background noise for most people.
And I'm trying my best to learn how to process it better, actually, because like on the one, like I agree with everything that you just said, and the fact that that you said like that level of empathy should not be that earth shattering, and that's kind of like the problem. That's kind of like where I look at these people, and I used to go, oh, man, fuck these people, man. They're not special for any reason. You should do that anyway. But then I look at the fucking world around me and I go, what kind of guts does it take in this world with the way people behave, the way people act about things? What can get you a fucking death threat just for trying to have a certain level of empathy? And then you use that power to show that level of empathy to other people. I think it takes a considerable amount of guts, to do that. And I didn't used to. And yes, I still think the whole fucking thing is overrated, but I also think that if you're going to be part of that overrated system, if you're born into it, if you're married into it, and then you use the attention for positive things, I'm just not really mad about it. Right? Like there's plenty of like rich, powerful people in the world that like it's easy to be mad at because they're shitty and they're shitheads. And it's like if they did things openly where it was like, oh my God, these people are actually fixing the world. Like I feel like that's supposed to be the next evolutionary step.
I mean, like I applaud the fucking charity work of these people that do it for the reasons of caring or empathy and having the money to back it up where it's needed. But that's about it. Like anybody that can sit on a golden throne, like you cannot become a billionaire without oppressing other people. Like you can't physically, one person cannot work 24 hours a day, enough days to become a billionaire just through hard work and bootstraps. Like you have to actively oppress other people in order to do it. So that's why I am anti-billionaire across the board. Like nobody should have that much money. It's physically unnatural to human evolution to have that level of like ability to leverage things in your favor. Like it's just so evolutionarily bizarro, and it like fucks up your psyche. It's unnatural. It's
Jesse Ventura once put out the idea that we should have a wage maximum in the world because he said that there's no reason why any one person could ever need more than $100 million. He goes, if you get $100 million, it's like you win.
Get your white trophy.
Yeah, right. Get your trophy. Get your English trophy. And but that was his point. His point was is no fucking human being on Earth, and even the next 10 generations after them, would ever need more than $100 million fucking dollars. So
there was a study that was done, like a psychology study, and it was like the difference between people who make $1 million a year and people who make $250. And this was a long time ago, so $250,000 in the United States goes pretty far, but it doesn't go super, super far if you have a family and if you're in a certain state. But they basically were like, the level of happiness that you have and your comfort level is basically the same. So there's no reason for you to make more than $250,000 a year.
And I'll tell you what, man, like there's a part of I don't know how to put this. When I see Jeff Bezos, okay, early images of him, and I'm curious, Pat and Stones, what you think about this too. When I see Jeff Bezos, early images of him where he had Amazon.com spray painted on that sign hanging up behind him in his garage, and he was just selling books, right? I don't know much about him before that. And I look at that and I think, man, this fucking guy really did raise a company to, of this magnitude out of a garage. And I think,
yep, he did.
And I think that part is admirable. But then I also realize he has enough money to own a country with its own military and nuclear weapons. And I look at the conditions of his warehouses. I look at the complaints of the people who work for him, and they're not just random complaints. They're serious, major fucking problems.
Oh, yeah, man.
And I go, okay, so where do I draw the line, right? Where do I draw the line between the guy who built his life himself from scratch and really succeeded in a way that no one maybe has ever had before, and they're the same guy. Yeah, but are they? I feel like there's a line that gets crossed where all of a sudden it goes from a man to a monster. And I don't mean. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
The only way to make more money now is to exploit these fuckers and make them all go on food stamps.
Right. So there's a point where he crosses the line where the amount of money he makes actually hurts the rest of the world.
Well, he's playing a role, man. It's no different in my mind. It's no different than like British Petroleum, right? So British Petroleum, it's the ultimate capitalist. It's somebody who's willing to cut corners at every chance they can to squeeze more money out of what they're doing, right? So like British Petroleum did that with the refineries, and the refineries were blowing up. They did that with their offshore drilling, and they dumped a bunch of fuel into the ocean. They did that with their solar panels, and their solar panels caught on fire. You know, every corner that BP could cut, they did it. They thought they could get away with, and sometimes it bit them in the ass. But they looked at the bottom line and they said, you know, it's worth it for them to do it because they're going to get a bigger bottom line for their investors. And what kind of mental, what type of role are you going to play? Are you going to play the role that, the corporation, your motivation, your drive is to make money for the investors? And if that's the case, then screw your employees. If your motivation drive to develop a company is to start off with like a union or to be union based, then your motivation and drive is to have more of an equal share to your employees. So that's we've decided as a culture to allow these things to persist, and this is what they can morph into, and we're reaping all the benefits and all the bad sides of this amalgamation. So
you're 100% right, dude. Because here's the fucking horrible and horrifying confession that goes along with what you just said. I could not have gotten through the last year without Amazon. And I also recognize that they're destroying some people's lives.
Right. Exactly.
I'm reaping the good and also making the bad worse, and I know it. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm stuck underneath it.
You can't do anything about it. I hate to say it like that, but I tell myself that all the time. But like, this is going to sound like a radical thing I'm going to say, but like, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. At least the capitalism that we have in the United States. I mean, I would make the argument that it would be everywhere, but any product that you get is going to be built on the labor of someone less fortunate. And so that's not.
There was that guy that tried to make a chicken sandwich, and he like raised the chicken, and then he killed it and everything, and it said it cost him like over $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those unfortunate realities of like living in this time and age. Like, it's like the same. It's the same thing when people say like, you know, you going vegan by yourself isn't gonna fucking fix the environment. If everybody in the world went vegan, that would have an impact. But the responsibility doesn't lie on the sole person. It lies on the corporations that are taking advantage of the environment and fucking it up. And the same thing with like Amazon. It's like, it's not your individual responsibility to not shop at Amazon. You can do it, and it's okay for you to, you know, take a moral stance, and there's nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, you have to get what you need to get. And there are limited options available for people. Like, I used to say this all the time, like I hate Walmart as a company, but like when I was fucking broke and I was fresh out of college and I needed groceries, I wasn't going to go shop at fucking ShopRite where everything is like 2-3 times more expensive. I was going to go to Walmart where everything was super cheap and where I could sustain myself.
Right.
And it's a shitty thing to do, but ultimately it's not our responsibility, you know, to stop shopping at these places, to stop giving them our money if it's something that we have to do to survive.
I have to. And I'll tell you what, man, like I went to a protest, like, I don't know, 12 years ago or something. And it was some protest on the beach in Asbury Park. And it was about oil and fossil fuels. And the first fucking comment you got from everybody online was, yeah, but I bet you guys all drove cars there, right? And I was like, yeah, I drove a car here because I can't drive anything else here. Like, I have to drive it. That doesn't mean I'm opposed to vehicles that run off of different. I want it. Give me a better option. Work on a better. There are better options. Like, and at the time, I mean, states were coming up with laws where you couldn't alter your car to run off of electricity. They were making it illegal. You know what I mean? So it's one of those arguments where it's like you are stuck using one thing. That doesn't mean you can't still, in a way, protest for better things. Does that make sense? Sorry, it's my birthday and I'm drinking a lot. I hope I'm making sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's tricky. It's tricky because I hate Amazon as a corporation.
Right.
But I understand, especially now during the time of a pandemic where people can't go out, that's the only available option for you to get certain things.
Can I ask you guys something? Here's a new question. We know, because of, thankfully, to Bernie Sanders, we know exactly how much money Jeff Bezos has made over the course of the pandemic. And it's been money that is impossible to fucking fathom. Okay? Let's say over the course of the last 12 months, Jeff Bezos gave all of his employees a raise and took some of that money and invested it in those warehouses to make them safer and better working conditions, right? Let's say that happened. Do you think that we as a population would be as mad at him because he's still a fucking corporation with too much power? Or do you think we would go, that's what I want to know. Go ahead.
You know what would be redeeming for Jeff Bezos is if he told the company to stop fighting against allowing unions to try and solicit entry and let the employees decide if they want to unionize or not. That would be redeeming as far as I'm concerned with Jeff Bezos.
I think it's actually kind of fucked up what they're doing because they're actually keeping their employees at such a level that they have to become customers at the same time. So it's kind of like this giant circle of like poverty and usage of their services because they don't have money to go anywhere else or, you know, do whatever.
South Park, the consumer worker.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's yeah, exactly. That's how it's going, and it's pretty sad.
I think I agree with Stones about the unionizing, and to me, it's really fucking weird that that's not an option that's available for Amazon workers, because it is kind of manufacture. I mean, it's manufacturing-esque, which is a word I'll just
absolutely.
They say it's always an option, but the corporation has the right to fight against it. And as far as what Pat said, that it's no different than old mill towns. Like once upon a time when we, right in Allaire, right? I think it's Allaire. They had the iron mining right there, and it had a whole town based off of that resource being there. And there used to be money given out in vouchers, given out by the company that you work for in the company town that you live in.
Yeah.
And it had the company general store, and you had to try and buy your way out of living there, to actually get to translate it into real currency to be able to leave, and which was almost impossible. Yeah. So I don't know, nothing's as far as nothing's changed in that regard. It's just on a bigger scale now,
dude. I just feel like I wouldn't mind even if the whole world was one giant corporation, as long as things were fair and good for people. And I think that's the problem.
That's the thing too. I mean, I think the fairness comes more down to our judiciary system. And what I mean when I say that is that you have these companies that have lots of money. Like, let's say, for instance, let's say, take this for instance. Tomorrow, I could start up a battery manufacturing company for, let's say, bikes, right?
Okay.
It's a very labor-intensive process. And I know that it's a labor-intensive process, and so I know that you can't automate that part of the design of these battery packs for these electric bikes, right? So I know that I could do well with it. My concern, right? Like, let's say I use Panasonic 18650 lithium-ion batteries, right?
For example,
and I built these things, perfectly, right? Every single time. One of the cells failed, right? Like one of the cells failed and it caused a fire, right? Who do you think the person who bought the battery is going to go after legally? And who do you think would win in that legal conflict? Do you think that I would win as the business owner? Or do you think that Panasonic would crush them with their wallet so they wouldn't even bother dealing with Panasonic in that process? That's my problem. And that's where a lot of the fairness thing down to is where you're having these people that have this money that can crush anybody.
So, Pat, you would agree that we're dealing with a very similar thing in the stock market right now, where you have people who have so much money that they can manipulate the system just simply by having enough money to do it. You don't need legislation anymore. You don't even need politicians on your side anymore. You just have to have enough money to be able to buy and sell the system as you see fit.
Well, I think it's a little more than that. Yeah, you need the money, but you also need lack of liquidity in the market, and that's where it is. There's like huge gaps because not the regular people in the country don't have the money to be in the markets right now. They're trying to just pay bills and pay their mortgages and all that kind of stuff. So it's only the people with the money that are able to play, and so what you're saying is correct, but it's because of the lack of liquidity to begin with.
Right.
That is happening.
I just want to read the comments. Go ahead.
It's lack of liquidity in the world to be able to compete with corporate companies on a manufacturing scale or an idea or any type of scale. I think there's a lack. I think that most people would be able to accomplish what most of these companies have accomplished. As per times in the business community, people are protecting their rice bowls. Everybody has a rice bowl, and everyone's protecting their rice bowl. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that in multi-million-dollar sales calls and meetings and sales garbage.
I'm going to take a look at the comments for a second here. Yes, Diana was divorced from Charles for years when she was killed. Janine is watching. Hi, Janine. Why do we consider this of any importance to us? The royal family's diplomatic post, a formality and national symbol. Protocols about maintaining an image. Exactly. And Robert and McKelly, that's kind of what blew my mind a little bit about. First off, Prince Harry to me, to be fair, kind of seemed different to me right off the bat. Even his role in the military Not that I think that everybody joins the military for great reasons, but like in his particular case, he seemed to be doing things that princes don't do, that privileged princes don't do. And there was something about him that kind of was like, he always felt a little different to me, and that he was breaking that protocol. And also in breaking that image, I also think that they put themselves in considerable amount of danger, and they shattered an image that has been upheld for too long. And I think that takes some guts to be able to do, considering that they could end up like Princess Diana in a way. Let's see. Mike Pepe said a union needs to get into Amazon and fuck his day up. Jacqueline said, happy birthday, Rick. Thank you. No, it's the effect of bureaucracy in the corporate machine. I feel the same way with Amazon and Walmart. And Amazon and Walmart, I feel like we could put side by side all day, by the way. Walmart is the same. If the two companies I hear Bernie Sanders yelling about all the time is Amazon and Walmart. Amazon and Walmart seem to have very similar issues going on. And they are certainly at war with one another. And if that's not obvious yet, I think it's going to be in the coming years. Let's see. Jacqueline said makes perfect sense. Robert M. Kelly said get ready for Chinese corporations, guys, especially if you believe that American capitalism is doomed. I think American capitalism is just burning out. And I think it's burning out because of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to use the word immoral, but almost an immoral level of abuse and greed. I don't think Stones, you and I, and Pat, we talk about, all of us, we talk about capitalism all the time. Does capitalism have to be evil to function?
No. Well, see, the thing is, like, pure American capitalism, yes, pure American capitalism definitely has to be evil to exist. If you believe that turning patients into customers is evil. Because if the idea is whatever you can monetize, and then whatever you can make the most money out of, well, you know, if that person needs it, well, then they're going to pay a price, and they're going to pay a bigger price, and you don't fucking regulate anything and just let the market decide when it comes to sick people dying. If you believe that that's wrong, well, that's American capitalism, and if you believe that's evil, then yeah, it has to be evil then, because it's not fixing itself, and if someone fucking tries, they call it socialism. So
here's I heard a quote the other day that I liked, and it said, "Capitalism without socialism will lead to fascism, and socialism without capitalism will lead to communism."
Yep. That's like I say all the time that the death of capitalism is going to, by force, almost usher in some level of socialism. It has to, because sooner or later you're standing on too many necks, and they're going to fight back. It's just how much will politicians attempt to get away with in these dying throes of it, before they relent and say, okay, yeah, we're going to give you some health care now, or we're going to give you this now. They have to. If they don't relent, then it will literally be the end of American capitalism, and not just let's inject socialism here. Let's regulate, the cost of insulin here, and yeah, sooner or later, but look at how many years we've been a capitalist society. It corrupts over time, and inevitably they all corrupt over time. And the corruption of socialism typically it's not going to be that socialism corrupts into capitalism. It's going to corrupt into communism. And then sooner or later it's a cycle. You're never going to have this is the type of government there is, and it's literally never going to change or be any other thing, because sooner or later there's going to be holes poked by the people that get the greediest.
Right. Yeah, capitalism is just supposed to be purely economic. It's not supposed to be political at all.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a pure capitalist society on Earth ever, and capitalism is just a theory. It's never been put into. Parts of it have been put into practice, but it's impractical to put it as a political function, also an economic function.
Yeah.
But what we have in the United States is not capitalism. It is like a bastardization.
That's why I kept saying American capitalism.
Yeah, no, American. I mean, yeah, American capitalism.
Now we're fucked.
If you have a government that makes monetary policy, then politics becomes part of capitalism. That's black and white to me. It's not a debate.
But there's functions of our government that are also like, you could argue that are socialist. Like we have Social Security, we have the welfare, we have WIC, we have food stamps, things that were introduced within the last century. I mean, fairly more recent than that. I think what's happening in the US is similar to what has happened before when the rich, and it's just this vicious cycle that's going to keep repeating, and there's going to be no end in sight. It's just the rich are just too rich and the poor are just too poor. And the gap between being rich and being poor is just so wide. I mean, we're at the largest income gap since we've been recording income gaps.
Something like 500%.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's not since we've been. It was a similar income gap from that was in the 1930s, and that's the only encouraging sign of hope is that after the 1930s, after the New Deal, after the union started getting stronger, after the war money came in and paid off a lot of our manufacturing, that's when a lot more of an equal stake went. And we had 70% tax rates on the wealthy, if not more. That's when an equal stake came down to the rest of the people. So we're back at that same tipping point now that we were back then. So the only difference that I know of is that the baby boomer wealth transfer that is going to inevitably happen with the baby boomer dying off is the only X factor that didn't exist from the transition from the 30s to the 50s. So that's the only really kind of interesting part I think about it. But other than that, we have been here before, and it has changed before. The way that it changed was through activism and some violent uprising.
There's a lot of violent uprising, especially during the Great Depression. People were going after bankers. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. It's just eventually it's just going to be, we're going to have another I personally believe that there'll be another uprising. I don't think it'll be a violent uprising necessarily, but
I think we're in the midst of it. I think we're in the midst of this uprising, and hopefully the good comes on the other end of the uprising, and we get a couple generations that have it, better than we did.
Some of that uprising is virtual. It's a virtual uprising, as well as a physical one.
Oh, definitely. It's gonna be
trying harder and harder to censor the virtual ends of our lives, and
that's
regulate.
Why.
Yeah, I know.
That's why. I know. And they're losing. They're gonna lose, man. There is nothing funnier to me than when fucking politicians take these tech giants and put them out in front of the world and then try to question them. It's like the most painful fucking thing I've ever seen in the world. Like, you ever seen like Congress grill Zuckerberg? It's fucking hilarious, dude. They have absolutely no idea what the fuck that guy really does for a living. They have no idea, and he could ruin all of them.
Yeah, there are still politicians who believe it's like the internet is a series of tubes.
Yeah, a series of tubes, right. Exactly. I want to take a look at the chat. So Robert M. McKelly said, so there are no Chinese billionaires. They have over 300. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, even what to do with that, Robert, because I feel like people who have that level of wealth,
they get taxed like a motherfucker too.
And not only that, but also very politically connected. The 300 Chinese billionaires didn't start out of their garage with the sign painted in the background.
That's true too.
That generations.
But would you guys agree that once you hit a certain level of wealth, you kind of stop paying actual allegiance to a company or a system of government or a country. You're sort of in this like upper echelon of people on a global society where it's like you don't even like they don't care what language we speak. They don't care what companies we buy. They don't care what religion everybody follows. Like,
if you can afford the fines, you can get away with anything. You can just do whatever you want, pay the fine, and be done with it. Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. They don't give a shit.
What do you do with a world when fines don't matter anymore? Like, what do you do in a world where corporations have so much money that you can't possibly fine them enough for it to even fucking hurt?
That sounds like actual freedom to me.
So you have to be a tyrannical corporate capitalist entity in order to be free.
You could just be Elon Musk and sell all your possessions and go to Mars.
Man.
Well,
I flip-flop with Musk. Sometimes I'm
I
like,
do too.
Right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, this guy really understands some shit. And other times I'm like, this guy's the most tone-deaf motherfucker I've ever seen. And I don't know.
I think he's just like, I don't know. I feel this way a lot about people who didn't grow up in like abject poverty or like maybe the lower rung of middle class. Because from what I understand, I think Elon grew up in a relatively upper middle class or upper class environment, and I could be wrong. But like, I think people like that, you just don't get it. You just don't know what it is to like struggle.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just not a like it's nothing like wrong. Like, it's just, you just don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Jeff Bezos is like, I think worse because he knows, like, he came from a family of immigrants and like has actually struggled. And
I heard the term before about somebody like him where somebody said they shut the door behind them as they were climbing.
And that's fucked.
Yeah, it's fucked. Totally fucked. You don't forget where you come from.
Well, remember that Rick and Morty episode where Morty became a stockbroker because he had no conscience.
He had no conscience, right?
That is, you know what I mean? That's exactly what that is.
Dude, I feel like it's almost a mental illness to crave a certain degree of power. And I feel like we vote for those people. And we give in to them a lot.
No, praise those people because they have more resources than us. Isn't that insane?
That sounds super unevolved, Stones.
Yeah, I know. And I always like the analogy that if any other species was hoarding things the way that human beings do, we'd study them and wonder what was wrong with them. But with people, we praise them. We hold them to a higher standard. It's really bizarre. It really is.
We praise a lot of shitty people too, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Like, I stopped having heroes when I was like, I don't know, a long fucking time ago, because it's one of those, every time you get to really know somebody, you start really thinking, like, you know, you have the persona that you have in the spotlight in the public view or whatever, and then you get to know people
Well, Stones, you remember King Jellybean in Rick and Morty, right?
Right, exactly.
They burned the photographs at the end because it was better to remember him for what he stood for rather than who he really was.
Right, 100%. That's the thing, man.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
And the more that you want to reject it, the more that you want to get away from it, the harder it becomes for you to survive. You know,
Why? What do you mean?
Well, it's that weird conundrum where, like, the more resources that you get, the more resources are given to you. You know, and so
do you feel like because like we have absolutely no way of knowing what it's like to be Jeff Bezos?
I'm just saying, wealthy. Once you get to a
you
certain,
have no idea. Like, I've said this so many times on this show. The problem with rich people trying to decide what's best for poor people is that once the fucking wage gap opens, that's wider than the widest sea. it's like asking aliens to supply us with all our needs. An alien's gonna be like, I don't know what the fuck your needs are. And it's the same with billionaires and like even upper millionaires, like some of these politicians. They have no idea. Like, do you remember when Trump said that? He made some fucking comment where like it was obvious that he thought that health insurance cost like $25 a month or something. Right. And it was like, he has no concept. How can he decide? First of all, he can't even identify what I need as a disabled woman in America who has like fucking no assets. I don't own anything. Like, he doesn't know what I need in my daily life, like insulin and fucking tester. Like, he has no fucking way of ever. It would be like if someone handed me an alien life form and said, with no instructions, okay, just take care of that, don't let it die, make sure that it's living its best life. And you're like, oh, okay. Like no, we could never understand what the fuck a billionaire needs in a day. And I use the word need so loosely, like the loosest way you could ever use the word need, because we all know that they fucking, need air to breathe and water, but like anything else is completely fucking throwaway, honestly. Like, oh, I need a new fucking car. Like, I don't fucking know what a billionaire does in a day. I don't want to know what a billionaire does in a day, because a billionaire shouldn't exist. I should talk about them like unicorns. They shouldn't fucking exist. It's just a pretty thought. And that's it.
What I understand, Bezos needs, he spends something like $400,000 a month in security.
I mean, even what Billie Eilish was like, I don't even know what like a bag of hot Cheetos costs.
Right.
And like, that's wild.
Yeah.
But there's this like, I don't know. Sometimes I think, honestly, like that people like Jeff Bezos may have just been a little fucked up in the beginning.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that. Like, you got to be a fucking sociopath. You have to have no empathy whatsoever.
There is something about his attitude and those early videos of him interacting with people where I see a sociopath.
Yeah.
Sure. 100% yes.
And I think that, and I think for some people that, I think that it's easier for a sociopath also to rise to power.
Agreed, yeah.
Because if you have no emotions about what you're doing to win, you could win in that way. And that's why I've been saying...
I don't think that's the reason why. I think the reason why it's easy for a sociopath to rise to power is because people are drawn to people that exude confidence. And if you're a sociopath, you're constantly exuding confidence in yourself. Like, Trump was clearly one of the most insecure man babies on planet Earth, but that's not what his followers see. He exudes a level of confidence that's utterly buffoonish to some of us, but it's you can't knock it down. Someone could push shit in his face and he could immediately figure out a way why, like, he's stronger for, like, he's like somehow the hero of that story, the warrior of that story. Like,
yeah, I call it HPV. I call it HPV. It's hero better victim. They're always the hero. They're always better than everybody else, and they're always the victim from somebody. It's somebody else's fault.
There you go. Hey guys, listen. Robert Emmett Kelly wants to fucking Skype in and sing me happy birthday. Are you guys into that? Can we do that?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna bring him in. Hold on. Where the hell am I here? Hold on. So I bought this new wireless mouse and it's garbage. I hate it. Let's see. I'm going to bring him on board. Hello, hello. Are you still on Skype, Sarah?
I can see Kristen moving, so I think I'm still connected.
All right, hold on.
But I don't hear you in my
Robert Emma Kelly, I'm going to call you right back. I'm sorry.
I don't hear you in my headphones.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm back in this call with you guys. Sorry, everybody. I want to add somebody to a call, and last week, Skype had that set up differently than they have this week. Here we go. I got it. Here we go. There he is. You guys see him?
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Robert McKelly, we see you. We don't hear you. No. Still don't see him. You guys can hear me, right?
I can see him, but I can't hear him.
Yeah, I can see him.
Yeah,
I just can't hear him. Yeah.
I hear you. I don't hear him, right? Yeah.
I don't know. His microphone, it's not muted on my end. No. No, can't hear you, Robert M. McKelly. Can't hear you. Nope. You know what I think he's doing? Is he live on his TikTok right now?
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right, that's what I figured. No, it was a. I had set up Skype earlier for the microphone to come through, and they did something to me. I don't know what they did, but they did something.
Dude, it's so good to see you, man.
It's lovely to see you too. I'm giving you the whole, full sketch here. I even have the fancy camera down here for you and everything. You get to see the whole COVID-19 playroom.
Well, thank you.
I like his setup.
Yeah, it's the COVID-19 playroom. It's where TikTok became my jam. Yes, it's unbelievable.
TikTok, recording on TikTok. This man has 500,000 followers, mind
almost. Although I'm losing some every day. So I call your friends and tell them, follow me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rick. Happy birthday to you. Oh, baby. Boom. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much for that, man.
It's my great and grand pleasure to sing happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I deeply appreciate it. I might post it to my Punk Rock Professor Rick page. I might.
Yeah.
On TikTok.
Well, that would be lovely. I'd appreciate that very much. You guys are on fire tonight, of course.
Thank you.
And I've been spending Wikipedia out here and going, what the hell? How many aircraft carriers?
I was like, dude, this guy's coming up with numbers fast.
Well, Google is an amazing thing.
This guy knows the number of aircraft carriers rapidly. Like, holy shit.
Well, you just need to know how to go. How many aircraft carriers are there? I mean, it's not rocket science. Yeah. I mean, you used to have to go to the card catalog in the library and get out Jane's Defense Weekly and
right.
In there,
and get last year's information.
Yeah, well, it depended on the library.
Sure.
Library, you'd have, if it was the CIA's library, you got the secret Jane's Defense Weekly. So. Yeah, research, it's a wonderful thing. People don't understand how they used to have to do it with pencils and paper and stuff.
My mom just said thank you for singing that song for me, dude. I really appreciate it, man.
Oh, well, she contacted me and I made a joke and I think it just went by her because I said, this gives me serious leverage over Rick, because I know your mom. And it was like, well, we have no secrets. And it's like, oh, okay, well, never mind. It was a joke. It was a joke. No joke survives explanation. So we just left it alone. So, Margaret.
That's a great saying. I've never heard that before. No joke survives explanation.
Oh, absolutely.
That's such a great saying, man. That's so true. I can't believe I've never heard that saying before.
Me neither.
Really? That's kind of amazing that you've never heard that. But, I say things all the time. People say, I never heard that.
Well, Rick, what was the saying?
But not the actual saying of it. Like, if you explain a joke, it's not funny anymore, but that's not like the saying.
Rick, what was the saying? What was the saying I heard the other day, Rick, that I'd never heard before and you guys were shocked? What was it saying?
Soup to nuts.
I've never fucking heard that in my life. I don't know. What the hell does it even mean? I know
it means from the beginning of the menu to the end of the menu.
But why soup to nuts? Like, where did
nuts
that
are the last thing they put out before they invite you off to drink cigars and have port wine in the
You're the first person that's been able to explain this to me.
Oh, yeah. We actually used to have that at Thanksgiving. We'd finish the dinner and then there'd be nuts and candy put out.
Yeah, my sister's laughing because she was the one that said soup to nuts. And I was like, what did you just say? Soup to what? What the fuck does that mean? And she's like, you've never heard that? I'm like, I thought you just made it up.
The full course.
This is a wonderful thing about English being so idiomatic.
Yes.
Right.
Idiomatic, too.
Yeah. It's a language for dummies.
It's a language for everybody. English is a great language. You got millions of words which most people don't understand.
English is like if Cliff Notes came out with a language.
I don't know. I love English. English is one of my favorite things to play with. So, I mean, why wouldn't I like it?
Sure, dude. Me too. Same here, man. Same here.
And I do love what Churchill said about us in England, that we are separated by a common language. And it's the truth. I mean, you talk to British people. So Americans talk to British people. I understand a lot of the Britishisms, but most people are like lost when it comes to British.
Oh, sure, man. If you put me like somebody with a Cockney accent comes along and they start talking to me, I'm like,
yeah, well, it's a real big stereotype for Americans to just assume that there's only Cockney accents. That's like
not assuming that. I didn't assume. I know there's more than that.
I went to England when I was a kid, and I went with my friend to summer camp there for a little while too. And, like, that was hell for me. I just got made fun of for my American accent relentlessly. That's all they gave a shit about talking to me about, was just so I could say something and then they could repeat it with an overly dramatic American accent. And it's like, I didn't walk up in here going, "Oh, hey, governor!" Everyone speaks Cockney. Like, I was just a totally quiet, normal kid and just had to fuck with me.
It's more about how they use the words, though. It's not about the accent, really. It's like what they're using words that mean, like, it's more slang at this point. Everything's slang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the South here.
Yeah, fine as frog hair.
Slanguage. I can't believe that you called in tonight. I can't believe that you called in tonight to wish me a happy birthday like this.
Well, why wouldn't I? I mean, golly.
You're awesome,
dude. I like you guys, I'm sorry if I'm monopolizing your time here.
You're not at all, dude. The moment that you graced my Facebook page with that song, I was like, this guy's part of the family. I have to reach out to this guy immediately.
I should write you guys a theme song.
Oh my God.
That would be life changing. Awesome. That would be utterly life changing.
Utterly life changing. The awesome talk show. It's the awesome talk show. They be talking about awesome shit.
Dude, let me tell you something, man. I want to do. Eventually, when the pandemic's over, I want to do a '90s intro, with like '90s sitcom intro, and like I need somebody who can really pull off a '90s sitcom intro song.
You think so, huh?
What do you think?
I have no idea. I have no idea what you mean by a '90s sitcom. You know, because they all run together for me.
Like Family Matters or Full House or
right, Step by Step.
Rick and I have had so many conversations over the years about changing the Awesome Talk song that's in the intro, and
I don't even know what it is.
It's just someone screaming. It's not even really a song, and he's had so many different ideas, and I've had one desire, which is I wish we knew people in a barbershop quartet to make an Awesome Talk song. But apparently it's nearly impossible to find barbershop quartets because I have searched.
Oh no, we got a barbershop quartet society in Keene.
Dude,
I can find you a barbershop quartet. Yeah. Could you
imagine living in a place where a barbershop quartet is just someone you could call? Like, that's just local? Because there's none here. There's none around here.
There's actually a big society of them, the SBQPP. It's a long thing. It's the Society of Barbershop Quartet Motherfuckers.
Amazing.
And it has got this big, long name. And I actually went and played with them sang with them for a little while, just to check it out. And they were all like, "Oh, you got to get rid of your vibrato." And I said, "Get lost. I'm leaving."
Oh, man,
Thank you very much. No, but that really is what they do. They sing like open pipes,
Sure.
And hold a note without vibrato.
I was gonna say they got to be looking at your TikTok numbers right now and be regretting that decision.
They could have been, but I think the idea of a close harmony, Awesome Talk show sound, Hey, awesome talk today. I can hear you now. Oh, awesome talk, awesome talk. We got some awesome talk today. Awesome talk, oh, awesome talk. You all like the way we talk. It's awesome, awesome talk, oh, awesome talk. You like the way we awesome talk. It's awesome talk, fucking awesome talk. You like the way we talk. It's fucking awesome. Woo! Yeah.
I think that might have been my favorite musical moment on all the years of this show.
It might have been my favorite musical moment of all time. Holy shit. What a birthday. This is a great birthday.
Yeah. When I do lives for TikTok, I often do what I call a chat opera. And I just read the chat and I sing it to them, Hey, that was awesome. You're awful nice. Thank you very much. I love you all, to a little vamp, some kind of vamp. Yeah.
So listen, we're gonna start closing down for the night. Anybody have any?
Get out of here.
Anybody? You don't have to. So hold on a second. I want to say, does anybody have any final words they want to put out to? It's my birthday. I get to choose how we end the show. Final words for the night. Anybody have a message they want to put out to the world?
Have a happy birthday, Rick.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Robert M. Kelly, anything you want to put out there? Anything you want to promote?
Be excellent to each other.
Yeah, I want to promote you. Happy effing birthday, man! You old man. You're 43 now, something like that.
Oh my God, I'm 42. Let's not rush it along, brother.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to rush it on you.
Rush it. Thank
Many
you.
happy returns, man.
Let me just tell you something, man. I put out a message today, and I have some friends that have been part of my life for a really long time that I'm very grateful for, and there's only a handful of those. Stones is one of them. I've known Stones since I was a teenager, and there's a sparse few others out there who I'm close with in regards to longevity in my life. But I would also
timeshare though.
Huh?
You didn't know about his timeshare though.
I didn't know about his timeshare, though, so I got to ask myself, how close of a friend is Stones really?
Well,
But I will say that aside from that, horrible backstabbing that Stones is responsible for completely. I will say that in the last maybe 5 years of my life, in the last 10 years of my life, I have met some of the best people and certainly the best friends that I could ever ask for. And one thing that I always thought, and I don't know where this thought or belief came from, or where it originated, or why it was implanted in me, was that we hit a certain age where it's almost like, you know, as a man, as an American white man, you just kind of stop making close friends. And I realized that that's horse shit, completely and fucking totally. And I'm glad that I realized that, because in the past few years of my life, I think I've met some of the best people and the best friends that I could ask for it. I'm very happy about that because I've also had a lot of very toxic and negative friendships that have impacted me horribly negatively. When I look at the chat and I look at this show and I look at all the people that I meet all the time, I'm just very grateful. And I'm very grateful for today, and I'm very grateful to Sarah for everything that she has done for me and everything that she has enabled me to be able to do for myself that's positive, because I am a shit show otherwise. And I just cannot possibly express how grateful I am and how much I love everybody and how much I love her. So I want to thank everybody for a great birthday this evening. And today, overall, I want to thank all of you for being my friends, and I want to thank Robert Emmett Kelly for calling in and doing this incredible thing for me tonight. Thank you so much.
You are funny. It's just all part of the service here at Two Bucks Productions.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
I don't believe in love.
Still will, kill, swill, blood stains, cheap thrills, beat the fuck out your boyfriend at Mill Hill.
We're at the Mill Hill where we happen to kill it. Back and we fill it with the illest, chillin' with the realest music crew. Real as a film and it's feeling like a movie too. Shooting to the moon and my dude Lagoon is booming through. In a van with weed man, feeling like it's Scooby-Doo. We found a spot when we turned around the block like Rubik's Cube. See the bass bumping when it rumbles with the thunder sound. Music coming out from the basement cause it's underground. Searching to kill, holding herb in the pill. There ain't a hole in my pocket when I'm burning the mill. Stairwell blazing weed, y'all blatantly won't take a stairwell cause my eyes shoot laser beams. It's Frankie B, always reppin' out T-Rock cassette. Feel the draft even if you tape the doors like rock cassettes. Dropping bread like Uma Thurman when I kill Bill. $1 at a time till we got a Mill Hill. Yeah, when the beat drops in the stairwell, we twist up the sweet pot. Yeah, when the beat drops, if the door locks, it opens with 3 knocks. Yeah, when the beat drops, 4 sticker balls around the stage we rock. Yeah, when the beat drops, it's the Mill Hill set. We'll make you wanna rewatch.
Tupac to Turok, the dinosaur hunter. Dudes stuck in their wonder years, mistook it for hunger. Mill Hill is the headquarters for old heads and youngsters. The basement is for hip-hop, but it was founded by punker. I've been there every night for a decade and a half, drowning my sorrows while still laughing at crap. Used to run out on my tab, now I'm part of the staff. Lied on my resume, got by on basic math. Enticed by the drink, seduced by the music. Always open doors back up after a shooting. Sometimes I got a box, but it's still the spot that's soothing. Who would've thought a dark, dirty basement would move me? Been all around the globe eating bohemian pizza. Paris is a runner-up, but Stripe, Trenton needs ya. A city full of artists, but it's not for the weak, bruh. The Mill Hill basement, South Broad Street, love.
Yeah, when the beat drops in the stairwell, we twist up the sweet pot. Yeah, when the beat drops, if the door locks, it opens with 3 knocks. Yeah, when the beat drops, 4 sticker balls around the stage we rock. Yeah, when the beat drops, it's a Mill Hill set. We'll make you wanna rewatch. Yeah,
Still will, kill, swill, blood stains, cheap thrills, beat the fuck out your boyfriend at Mill Hill. Still will, kill, swill, blood stains, cheap thrills, beat the fuck out your boyfriend at Mill Hill.